Yeah.
What if that's a move, Fran?
Hi, Alex.
Hey, so we are in a Chick-fil-A, surprisingly, having some dinner. But today, what we're doing is we're talking about stabilization and video, different methods of stabilization, whether to use a Steadicam or whether to use a gimbal, what kind of situations you might do, or even if you should invest in a Steadicam at all. Because they are a lot cheaper, but there's a reason that gimbals are the top dog. Good news. Dinner was a success. Still trying to get, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get used to vlogging like in public, but it's good practice to have people stare at you weird and to have people ask questions. But on to the next location. Hey, was that dramatic? Because it really wasn't supposed to be. I wasn't trying to be like one of those YouTubers that just walks into frame. But we are here in the aesthetic location, and we're gonna properly be testing the gimbal versus the Steadicam. So I have a different camera and we're gonna see how long it takes to like balance them and then what they can really do and if it's worth it or not between like balancing and changing lenses and like just using it in general. And we'll probably make like a little cinematic sequence from both of these, like the same type of sequence, trying to match the shots. I don't know what the goal is, but we're definitely gonna see the difference between these two stabilization devices. So we're gonna start off with old reliable, the gimbal. This has been my workhorse. This is the DJI Ronin SC. I have been using this for a couple months now. This is my main go-to. I just got a Steadicam, so that's why we're doing all this. But I know this gimbal pretty well, so we're gonna start off. So let's balance it. Okay.
And 13 seconds. 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Just turn it on. And that's not on.
Are the batteries charged?
No, they're not. Fran, this is an issue. You ever see, it's probably like a SpongeBob meme where he's just I don't think of these things.
It happens, man.
Who doing a fucking... Might as well turn on fucking lav mic since I'm complaining. Fucking... Sure. Just doing a little video. Doing a video about gimbals and stabilizers and no, don't bother charging the gimbal at all. That's fine, it's not important whatsoever. It's not important to have the gimbal charged. That's true, because you don't have to charge a Steadicam, but you do have to charge a gimbal. And this extra battery for the gimbal, just in case you want it, is like $80 for a battery. But another good point, be prepared for your freaking shoots, even if they're just YouTube videos. Like, Jesus, charge your stuff, charge everything. God, I'm surprised I have charged batteries for my camera. I guess we won't be making a cinematic sequence right now. I'll have to do that tomorrow. I think it's done.
About 40 seconds slower. That's still pretty comparable.
So it seems like from, this is still recording, right? Yes. It seems like from just like starting from scratch, you're gonna take the same amount, balancing a new lens or a new setup or something like that. You're gonna be taking the same time just about with the gimbal versus a Steadicam. Obviously, you're gonna get faster at doing them. And as soon as you have your go-to lenses, you're gonna kind of know where things are, and like what, as soon as you know your setup for both of these systems, you're gonna get a lot faster at doing this. It's not gonna take 3 minutes to change a lens. It's gonna be very quick to change a lens, actually. At least with the Steadicam. I don't know. It's not gonna take that long whatsoever to do lens changes and stuff. So I guess since my gimbal's dead, I can walk around with this Steadicam and make it look like I'm doing something. Since we're out here, we took the time to come out to this aesthetic location. Oh! We took the time to come out to this aesthetic location, so I might as well do something with it. Jesus. Okay, so there is definitely a lot, like there is a big difference. Well, kind of. I think that they have different purposes. So, you know, every tool has their thing, right? I'm just talking to myself. But every tool has their thing. So like you'd want to use a gimbal for something and then a Steadicam for something else. So I think that like Steadicams in general are probably better for narrative stuff, and gimbals are better for like music videos and I don't know, stuff outside of like a car or something. Something where you need that more like robotic nature of things, because that's been my only problem with gimbals, and the reason why I decided to look into getting a Steadicam in general was just the fact that things were too robotic sometimes. But because of how high the camera actually sits, it's like my face height. I don't think that it's good for like music videos or things where you need like the camera around waist height, just because of how large a Steadicam is, and it doesn't work. The ergonomics they don't work. You know, it's not really that good. And then like tilting the camera and stuff, it just doesn't. I don't think it works out that well. But if I were making a movie or short film or something, I think a Steadicam would be a really good option. I don't know, things just have different uses, different applications. They're just different. I think a gimbal is really good for like what it is, and I think a Steadicam is really good for what it is. Gimbals obviously are super small and lightweight, especially compared to a Steadicam. But a gimbal can't hold a 15-pound camera, and a Steadicam can. Steadicam can. Probably should have wrote this stuff down more. If I were to recommend just one thing, I would probably recommend a gimbal because of how good they are.
Steadicams have a gigantic learning curve to them, and gimbals don't. So they're a lot more like newbie friendly. They're a lot more beginner friendly, and they're a lot more forgiving than like a Steadicam is. Okay, so generally, my biggest takeaways from like testing these two things out very momentarily is that Steadicams are kind of hard to use, and they take a lot of time to get down because you can't just pick up a Steadicam and just start using it. But with a gimbal, you can definitely just pick up a gimbal and start using it and make things look beautiful. You could definitely pick up a gimbal and make it look good. You cannot do that with a Steadicam. That has been probably one of the biggest takeaways, and if you're going to invest in a Steadicam, there's a lot of benefits. You can't really like I said before, it's not good for things that require the camera to be like your waist height. Your camera kind of has to be like either your face height or like all the way down to the ground. There's no in between, whereas with a gimbal, there is definitely that in between. But that's, you have to put in the time. What do you gotta say, Fran?
I can't reiterate Alex's points enough, but it's still a good tool to have in your arsenal. There might be an occasion where a Steadicam would get you a better shot than a gimbal would. And as a filmmaker to be, great to get... Alex.
Hold on.
And as a filmmaker in training, why not have more tools on your tool belt?
Yes. One more thing that I didn't say. I mean, I probably did say it. Steadicams are so freaking heavy. Oh my god. There's such a gigantic weight difference, especially if you add any accessories. There's such a big weight difference. You can't use a Steadicam for more than 5 minutes without your hand starting to shake. You could use a gimbal, like I've used it for like 4 hours before, but the Steadicam is so heavy.
Yeah, the Steadicam, it's pretty heavy, but they have the vest and the arm that you can invest in.
Oh, another good point. Obviously there's the vest and the arm. So if you get the vest, the arm, and the Steadicam together, that's about the same price, if not a little bit more than just a gimbal by itself. But you're probably gonna get accessories for a gimbal anyway. However, if you pull up, there's such a big perception difference, and sometimes that's really important. So if you pull up on set with the vest, the arm, the Steadicam, you're gonna look 10 times more professional. People are gonna take you so much more seriously than if you pull up on set with just your Ronin S. There's such a big perception difference. And you could probably get paid a lot more money, but people are gonna take you a lot more seriously as like a DP or whatever, just a filmmaker in general, if you have the vest with the arm. Because that's what you see all the time in like photos of behind the scenes and stuff like that. It's always the vest with the arm. They use Steadicams in Hollywood, and I think that's where they shine best, is with that narrative type of work. They're probably not the best thing for like YouTube, just because of like ease of use.
It can be done.
And weight.
It can be done. There's people. There's already tons of.
The best way to put it is, if it's good enough for Maddie, it's good enough for you. If it's good for Maddie, it's good for me.
There's already YouTubers who do phenomenal work with their Steadicam, and that's something I believe he said it was how he started filmmaking. That was something he was familiar with.
But there also wasn't gimbals. However, Steadicams are $200, and the cheapest gimbals on the market are like $450. So
if price point is a concern, that's a trade-off. But my opinion, learn both. Definitely learn both.
Yeah, I mean, as a DP, you should be able to make anything look beautiful. People should be able to hand you anything, and you just transform it. And whatever. Let's go at it.